Hello and welcome to United We Podcast, brought to you by the United Corpus Christi Chamber of Commerce. I'm your host, Al Ariola Jr., President and CEO. United We believe in the power of collaboration, the strength of advocacy, and the endless possibilities of growth. From advocating for local businesses to fostering growth opportunities, we're here to ignite conversations that matter. This is United We Podcast. Welcome back, United Chamber family and friends, to United We Podcast. Today, we are joined by Rene Hernandez from La Palmera Mall. I'm pretty sure you might have heard of it if you're from the Corpus area or even beyond, right? Rene, Thank you for joining us.
Awesome. Thanks for the opportunity.
We're happy to have you.
Cool.
Well, before we get into La Palmera, let's get to know Rene a little bit. Can you share a little bit about yourself? Tell us a little bit the story about Rene.
Sure. Been born and raised here, 58 years. Mom and dad still live on the street, in a house, obviously, not on the street. But they live in the same house we grew up in, which is near the mall. Matter of fact, funny story, I got kicked out of the mall more than once, and now I work there. So
that's funny.
Okay. So been at La Palmera as the business development rep since about 2018.
Okay.
Spent about 20 years in radio, tried to do something else, and the door opened, and here I am. It's been awesome.
Well, so then this whole experience isn't too far removed from you. Radio? What did you do in radio?
I was at first I was an on-air talent, DJ. Then I got married. Was going to have a family. I said, all right,
I got to pay bills.
Got to pay bills. Let's get into sales. Saw these sales guys kind of coming and going, making their life as they wanted to, driving nice cars. I said, all right, that's for me. So I got into sales. And
what kind of music?
I did soft rock. I did hard rock, metal, and oldies. So kind of a variety up and down.
Was there a favorite genre that you have or had?
Oh, well, back in the day, I was a metalhead. So metal all the way for sure.
Nice. Very cool. Mm-hmm. Well, you shared that you kind of grew up in the backyard of the mall. What did that look like for you growing up? The mall has obviously been evolving and changing, but what is it that you remember from back in the day?
Just the transition from a small neighborhood, open fields, to being where it is today.
Right.
Where, Staples is kind of the center. We call ourselves the center of it all, and literally the mall is at the center of the city and the main thoroughfare of businesses, and it's a great place to be, and it's been exciting to kind of grow up here and watch this city progress and where it should be, and we're getting there.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you also brought up that not glad that you got kicked out of the malls, but obviously you've grown up in it and you remember it and those experiences. So what I was going to share with you is that my father was a manager of a jewelry store, and I pretty much grew up in a mall too. The 80s. I don't want to say the heyday, right? Because you guys are doing so well, but I remember arcades and getting enough a dollar to go get a soda, or you know what I mean, like.
Yep.
When it was all the Stranger Things, neon kind of years of being in the mall. Can you share what you're seeing now with La Palmera, where you guys are today?
It's really about engagement now. Back then it was entertainment, retail, giving them things to shop and look at, and of course the video games. Yeah. Back in that day was the engagement. So. Yeah. Now, from a property standpoint, there are living centers, there are open air retail centers that have, grass areas with concerts and festivals and fairs. So from an indoor mall perspective, what we're trying to do is bring more engagement type of activity inside the mall,
Gotcha.
Other than what you typically see in a retail environment. And it's been a great experience to see it evolve into that.
Yeah. Well, and look, I think it's fair to put it on the table is that the malls across the country have either evolved or died, right? Yeah. There's been no in between. Mm-hmm. And to your point that when you started to see more of the modern development of malls in the later 2000s, it became more about park in front of where you want to shop and not necessarily park and then walk around the mall. It was almost like it was an outdoor shopping center a little bit more, right?
Exactly. And so what we've tried to do is if we can bring something to the table that would not just bring them in to obviously eat, because the food court is very busy, to say the least, and to spend some time shopping around, even if they don't spend money. But what else can they do than just walk around and eat? What can they do physically and engage with, have fun with? So we're looking at opportunities like some digital software where people can play games on the mall floor itself, like let's say tic tac toe, or you can play
Yeah.
checkers or chess, and you know, the digital world has come along to help retail engage with shoppers in a different way, and those are things that we're looking at and investing in now.
Oh, that's very cool. Like creating activations or living spaces.
Absolutely.
Yeah, very cool. Well, your role is in business development.
Yep.
I know how much of again I'm giving my what I remember, and actually my first job was in the mall. I worked at back then. You probably remember Bell's department store.
Wow.
Yeah, way
Yes,
back
sir.
when. Yeah, that was in my hometown of Del Rio. I honestly, it was a good job for someone out of high school. It got paid well.
Yeah.
I remember making commissions if I did better. I think, and this was back in 1998, that my every time I did well, they would kind of increase your salary to match closer to your commissions. And by the time I left high school in 2000, I was making close to like $13 an hour. Which you
Man.
think about, yeah. Right now we're
Oh, for
minimum
sure.
wages. The enticement was there to. There's a career here. I guess where I'm going with this is, do you want to elaborate what you've seen as far as that ecosystem and how folks have made a living? I know my dad made a really good living off of retail.
Absolutely. My father actually worked at Dillard's Furniture and worked for 30 plus years. And if you're good at what you do, the company's going to see what you do and invest in the company. They're going to invest in you. And so a lot of the retail owners and tenants that we have, they do hire from within. So you can start, from scrubbing floors, working up to be a manager of a store,
Right.
a district manager, area manager, and you just keep going up the channel. Just depends on your desire and to work hard and earn it.
So I know your tenants. This is another thing I wanted to touch on. When they're even considering the mall, let alone the community, they look for stats
Absolutely.
and demographics. And is there something you're noticing that they're responding to more than not?
Well, something that we kind of harp on that I do, in other markets, there's a lot of competition. And, like San Antonio, you've got two malls. You go down to the valley, we've got two, some say three, just depends on what area you're from.
Gotcha.
But fortunately for Corpus Christi, we talk about we're being the only regional mall in this area within a 140-mile radius. So if you want to go indoor shopping, we're it. And we've got, the tenants that we have, some of the anchor stores like Macy's and J.C. Penney's, they're the ones that draw people in. Bath and Body Works, obviously. So if you have the right anchors and you have the right retail mix, that lends itself to people having interest to come find something that they're going to want to look at and or hopefully buy soon.
Well, there's a story in this community that I think we all can appreciate is the evolution of La Palmera and to what we discussed earlier, that it's not only the spaces inside the mall, the retail spaces, but that you guys have created accessibility to the restaurants outside of it. The footprint's expanding, and it's becoming, like you said, kind of the center of the city in a lot of ways. Is there something in particular that you're noticing folks are responding to as far as the consumers?
I think now that we've kind of increased our dining experience, Chili's been there forever.
Yeah.
Back in the day, the dining experience when I was a kid, on a good day, you took your family to Luby's.
Right.
That's what was at Padre Staples Mall, right? That was the days. Like back in the day, all right, kids, get in the car, get in the station wagon, we're going to Luby's.
Right.
Right, it's awesome. But
Yeah.
now we've got, with Razoo's kind of coming in, and then, of course, Taco Palenque, Palenque Grill, and really the big boy to land was Cheesecake Factory.
And that's recent. All these are recent. Yeah.
So if you think of these big names looking for big markets to have an impact and to invest in the kind of money they put in to put up their own building, because it's one thing to move into a building that's existing, but to build from the ground up, infrastructure and all, that's millions and millions of dollars. So Cheesecake Factory looked at this market and said, yes, Corpus Christi is thriving. It's growing. It's a place we need to have our brand and our name.
That's great.
And specifically in the city and on this property. And so they looked at the stats. They do all the research, even above and beyond. So they know where the value is, and so they came here.
That's great. What I hope this is fair to touch on, but this is a case study city, if you will, of a tale of two malls,
Yep.
and one is doing what it's doing, and one is not doing much. So I worked in that mall at one point when I was in college here. That one of my jobs was at. They ended up becoming a tenant of that space, but it didn't last very long. But Wilcox Furniture, and then they evolved into something else, and then obviously you're seeing. I remember working there, and it was very sleepy in that mall. It wasn't as alive. What is it? What happened? What do you think?
I think what happened is when you don't have the right brand names or the tenants to kind of draw, back in the day they had some old schoolers, and the reality of anything is if you don't evolve and change,
Right.
They're going to pass you by.
Yeah.
So those brands didn't evolve and change.
Yeah.
And we already had the anchors. So if you've got the anchors, that's pretty much going to bring the crowd. And plus, as ownership changed to that property, they didn't really maintenance the property as it should have been.
Right.
So that's the problem now, that it's pretty much a dilapidated building. And unless you own the fringes on the outside,
Right.
It's going to cost way too much money to actually do something with that place. So
Yeah.
that's just my opinion.
No, I mean it's a fair. Like I said, if anything, a case study to be examined because there's polar opposites, if you will.
Well, this market can only, we're only a certain size. We're not a San Antonio. We're not the Valley. Only so many zip codes that we draw from as we've done the case study ourselves. So you better be the best at it and get who wants to go to the right place and where the right place people want to go to.
Which one was first?
Padre Staples Mall was first,
and
and then Sunrise Mall came in.
What was the logic behind you? And I guess you can't speculate on the other side, but why so close? Like what
From being a citizen and not in the mall, I think they saw what Padre Staples Mall was growing into be, and they thought, well, you know what? Let's go and do our own thing, and let's draw some other names that are not in that mall, and let's make a go. But at that time, retail was a different landscape.
Right.
So if you didn't have the big boys, that was going to be a tough haul.
Any future plans that you can share? That I'll mention the activation space that you mentioned. I want to show some appreciation from the chamber. Is that we're happy to have our Lemonade Day kicking off happen here at your mall.
Awesome.
Awesome space, like you said, a community center, if you will, where we hope that people will come and learn, and otherwise where we maybe not have connected to them, this is certainly a great opportunity to connect. Is there any other activations or ongoing activities that you want to share or happy to share? Or?
Absolutely. We just got finished with our Easter Bunny. There's two big things: Easter Bunny, Santa Claus arrival.
Yeah.
Huge, huge. So those events are big, but ongoing that we typically have all the time. During the summer, we're going to be doing bingo every Tuesday night.
Okay.
And the food court gets filled up. So we're talking 350, 400 people. We'll bring chairs and tables in to do bingo, give away prizes from all merchants. We also do something called Wave Walkers the last Tuesday of every month for the older crowd.
Yeah.
We have people that walk the mall. They open the doors at 7 o'clock. And we've got faithful walkers that walk. You better get out of the way or they're going to knock you over. So those things are ongoing that we're kind of revamping. Tide Turners is geared towards children in the playground, that kind of stuff. So those things are always going on. Other than that, it's typically we try to bring a petting zoo into the mall, just do something different. That's pretty much it, right? I don't want to just go
don't spoil too many surprises. Yeah. Well, look, I appreciate also too you shared your story as far as being a native and a local. Is there anything beyond outside when you're not at the mall, when you're not at work? What do you do for fun?
For me, I love basketball. I love working out. I just became a grandpa, so I always told myself I'm going to keep going. I see people, unfortunately, who after they retire, they say, all right, well, it's time to lay back, and they slow real down. So I keep going and inspired by my grandson. So it's either playing basketball or having fun with my grandbaby boy.
You're very proud. What's his name? What's baby boy's name?
His name is Theo. My daughter-in-law is French, so I'm not going to do this. I teased her because she's very fair complected.
Okay.
And he's very fair complected. My son, he's a Latino, so I'm like, all right, well, come on now. He's just, well, it is what it is.
He's a widow, huh?
Yeah, he's a widow. There you go.
That's very cool. Well, look, thank you for sharing that too. Getting into the mall, the management of a mall. Some folks I think forget that it takes a team to manage the concept of what a mall looks like, and I'm sure the staff, and it's pretty diverse on your needs of the kind of staff you have, right? I'm sure maintenance,
Absolutely.
landscape.
Yeah, well, literally, we say it's a small city.
Yeah.
Because you've got housekeeping to keep it clean, you got maintenance to keep it going,
Yeah.
and electrical guys. So if an AC goes down, you got to have a guy on call. So management staff is small, but our soldiers that are out there, making it happen each and every day. We're very grateful for them because it is a small city to run, but we do good. Well, we're doing good work every day, and we're proud of the property that we have because we love this city and what it has to offer, and we just want to have something that this city can be proud of, right? Because I've been to other cities and other markets, and it's a small thing. I never realized that when you drive around a mall, you look at the small things now that I do, like the food court. Is it clean?
Right.
Are the service areas where the dumpsters are those clean? Are they kind of dumpy looking?
Right. How does it smell out
How does
there?
it smell? The whole
Yeah.
9 yards, because appearance is everything. So I've driven to other properties and thought, wow, I don't see how they let this go by.
Yeah.
Coming from a management perspective now. So we do a good job in making sure we're clean and safe for shoppers to enjoy their experience there.
Can you get into, as best you can? So obviously we value the here locally the shops at La Palmera, but is there? Do we have I guess I don't want to say regional, but visitors are coming in that you can track, or zip codes that are coming far and wide? I mean,
Yes, we have something that we use called a tracer, and it basically tracks cell phones.
Okay.
And so we know exactly where our shoppers are coming from and going to, whether they're coming from San Antonio or the Valley, they come to here. And if they go to La Palmera, where do they go to next? And then if we can get the data, where do they go after that? And how much time do they spend inside of our retail, inside of our mall as well? So we do have access to the data to make sure to know exactly where they're coming from, how long they're staying, and where they're going to next, and their demographic information as well. Being in this digital world,
it's the way it is.
no one turns off their phone.
Yeah.
So if it's you got access to that, you've got all kinds of data.
It's it's a thumbprint essentially, right? Yeah.
Pretty much.
Is as best you can share. What are those trends? What did they look like? Where are they going after they visit the mall?
Typically, they go to Moore Plaza.
Okay.
Right. So they'll come to our place, and they'll go around the corner and go there to some other places that we don't have.
Gotcha. And I'm sure there's a vice versa effect too, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Whether or not people want to spend money, this is a very warm town. So if you want to go just walk around or you want to kill time, people say, well, let's go to the mall. Let's just go walk around.
Yeah.
And more times than not, if they're walking around, they might see something, hey, I think I want to buy that, or I'm hungry and I'm thirsty. Well, that's good for us too. If they just want to walk around and get something to drink, get something to eat, something to snack on, that's great for us.
Yeah.
It's great for us.
Yeah. Well, and look, with not getting too political on the economic challenges that are out in the nation, and maybe not, we're insulated from it in South Texas. Inflation, the pandemic that happened, back to the success that is La Palmera. What's the sauce, man? Like how have you guys? It's like I said, it's a challenging world out there financially for folks, and it seems always busy. The mall parking lot's always packed.
Yeah, man.
My wife made a joke. She's like, "Wow, Corpus is I've never seen this. Like malls are not like this anymore."
Right.
Yeah.
I think what we've done is like I said before, evolve. You got to change. I think our tenant mix with restaurants and retail has got to be right. You got to have a property that people want to go to, because if you think about it, if it's you go inside and it's even dirty or it's not clean, that's anything that's going to deter a shopper from coming in. That's not good. And I think part of it as well is really since we are in the center of town, we've done a good job of marketing as well. And I go back to radios. Like if you don't tell anybody about who you are, what you do, why they need to come to you
Right.
on a constant basis, eventually they're going to forget about you.
Right.
So
And especially-
we got a marketing team, a social media team that's separate from our actual marketing team. So and they do a real good job of letting people know why they need to come to La Palmera.
Right, and you guys do a great job not only of obviously the mall, right?
Yeah.
That's what you're supposed to promote, but your tenants, like, hey, this is on sale over here if you didn't know, or this is going on here, come check it out. It looks like you guys are really helping spread the message of even your tenants and their stories.
Yeah, we take a survey as well internally with all the managers that are, the soldiers on the ground. It'd be one thing to go to the corporate office, but they're not here
Sure.
on site. So we go to them and say, hey, what can we do to help you? How can we do this better? And so if we keep those open lines of communication, we'll help them when they need help.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of helped us bring us all together on the same page.
Well, as best you could get away with sharing, why'd you get kicked out of the mall when you were young?
Oh, man.
I had to go there.
Okay, I'll tell you the one time.
Okay.
There was a place in the mall that's called Chan's Imports. If anyone's been at the mall, they used to sell
I think I remember.
Asian culture type of stuff. They had throwing stars. So a bunch of high school kids, no junior high. We bought some throwing stars. They were like, $5. You can get like 4 of them or something like that. And anyway, so we went around the property. We were just chunking them at walls, chunking them at trash cans, and eventually security came around and we just took off. But they caught us and they said they want to call your parents, call the police, and I said, "We'll stop, whatever."
Well, the reason why I bring it up because I was deadly scared to get in trouble at the mall because I knew my dad would end up finding out, and so I was always scared to. Somebody's watching, something's going to happen. Before we let you go, and I want to thank you for your time, is there any shout outs you want to give to some folks in the audience or some folks you want to share some love with?
Well, I'm going to stare straight at the camera because that's what we talked about you shouldn't do. All right, that's enough. So I want to shout out to you, man, because Al, we've been a participant or a member of the Chamber of Commerce for a little while now, to say the least, even before my time being there in 2018. You coming around, kind of making things fresh and rebranding and changing things has been really good, I think, from a chamber standpoint. And what you're doing is great, man. So shout out to you.
I appreciate that.
Not that you're looking for that.
No,
I didn't get paid for that, gentlemen.
Well, no, but
I want to give credit where credit is due.
Well, thank you though, because especially the mindset that you bring to your organization, that I'm humbled and thank you for that because that's exactly what we're trying to do is tell our own story, make sure that we're getting out representing our businesses the way that I think our businesses expect. And
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, let's turn this around.
I'm serious. So why would you, when you came in, you saw some things that needed some change?
Sure.
So why did you change things? I mean, what was the most thing that stood out the most that needed to be changed first?
So back to like you said about evolving. I've been in the chamber industry about 14 years now, collectively, and it from where chambers are today to where we were 14 years ago. If you were still doing those same things, you're not serving your members, and you're not even maybe relative or relevant to what is going on in the community or in the real world, for that matter. And so, I would say we've just been evolving, and maybe not changing, but recognizing that evolution, everything you talked about, is important even in our space, especially for a chamber that is supposed to help with businesses themselves. It's really important that we handle our own business, right? And so, yeah. I hope that's a good answer. Hey, you're the first guest to reverse this on me. I appreciate that.
I'm sorry, man. Well, let's get deep into it. Let's talk about your childhood, Al. That's okay.
Well, I don't know if we have enough time for that now,
right,
but I do want to thank you, Rene. I want to thank you. I want to thank your organization's commitment to our organization. Again, thank you for your partnership, and we hope to continue to evolve that and make it even better for the both of us.
Let me just tell you exactly what I do real quick before I go, in case anyone happens to watch this. And I know they do because I've kind of seen what you're doing with these podcasts. So thank you for doing that as well.
Yeah, sure.
As a business development rep, I handle temporary leasing. So if you're a local or a regional business that wants to maybe start up in a retail environment like La Palmera, but you don't want a 5 or a 10-year term, I do short-term leases for a 2-year max. I also handle sponsorships and advertising inside the property. So if you want to advertise in La Palmera, you can. We have about 600,000 shoppers each month, not including the holidays. So if you want to start your business, you want to expand your business into the mall, or you want to brand your business, I'm the guy.
Well, thank you for sharing that, because I think most folks can almost be intimidated by that idea, but to know that there's options that aren't long term per se, but hey, get
Absolutely.
your foot in the door, see if you like it, and let's go from there. Yeah.
Yeah, got an RMU. You can do a little cart. They call them cart or an RMU. You could start small and work your way up just to test the market and see how the retail environment responds to what you have to sell.
That's great. Renee, thank you.
You're welcome. Thank
I
you.
want to thank you for joining us. I want to thank our audience for joining us. We'll see you guys again next time.